Hey everybody, hope you're doing fantastic. Brett Tadlock here, TN Artist. Wanted to share with you today something that I came across going through some of my old sketchbooks. I'm coming off of the 2021 Thanksgiving right now, and spent some of that time kind of cleaning out stuff and going through things and looking at past artworks and that. And I came across a sketchbook of mine from about 92, 93, somewhere in there, because yes, I'm older than dirt. And I was looking at that and I found this one line art sketch that I'd done. And if I remember correctly, I was probably inspired by the Dragonlance dragons, because this is a dragon painting. And, but I couldn't find the one that it was from. And I want to say it may have been a Clyde Caldwell dragon that I looked at, but it could have easily been any of those other guys that were part of that group, like Elmore and all them. So Parkinson. But anyway, so I took this line art drawing, I snapped a picture of it with my iPad, and then I imported it into Procreate, inked it, and then from there started playing around with how to make this my dragon and how to make it something that is mine. So that's what this video is. It's the capture of me doing that, and I hope you enjoy it. And if you have any questions at all, make sure to leave them below and write down, let me know if you have a question on how did I do this, why did I do that, whatever. Just put it down below and I'll go over it as I can. I'll probably do a little bit of voiceover on this since this is previously recorded, just to try and give you some thoughts and comments here and there. But primarily, this is just kind of an over-the-shoulder watching my process and how I did things. So again, if you have questions, comments, suggestions, leave them below. And I hope you enjoy this, and I hope you're having a fantastic day wherever you're at. Thanks so much. Okay, so this is where we're headed to make this guy right here. And like I said, it started with a sketch that I found in one of my old sketchbooks, which was this one right here. And I brought it in and started inking it out with Procreate with one of the standard inking brushes and playing around with it to get kind of this look and feel that I wanted for it. And was playing around trying to figure out how I wanted to do this. Did I want to leave it very cartoony? Did I want to try and go very realistic? I even thought about taking Procreate and doing a little photo manipulation and playing around with that. But ultimately I knew I wanted to just try and do a painting instead. And so that's kind of what I came back to as I did it. But I wanted to get all of this inked in and kind of laid out so then I could start playing around with it and Procreate even more. And I worked in a lot of layers in this. Normally I don't work in many layers, but I did for this mainly because I was just trying to find my voice for what I wanted to do and how I could make this my piece and just kind of keep playing around with it. So that's what I'm doing here. And like I said, I'm going to just kind of practice some different ways of doing things and doing the scales and everything else. Looked at a lot of photo references for things like alligators, crocodiles, iguanas, things like that for their skin. So I highly recommend doing that, and gives you a better feel for how you want to do stuff. But I guess really instead of me just blathering on, just watch this kind of over my shoulder and let me know what you think. And like I said, any questions below, I'll answer them. So as you can see here, what I'm doing is just really putting in the scales and kind of playing around with how that looks. I watched several videos how other people do their scales and to get that real reptilian type look. I believe it's Chris Mullins that does it, and that's what I did, kind of similar style. What I've done right here, by the way, just to let you know, because you might find this interesting, is that where it turned all red there for a second, I made a layer and put that red color in, and then made a clipping mask so that I could just have that red there and then start adding in other colors to that layer. And the line art is set to multiply, so it's going to multiply over top of it, but then I can do a clipping mask above that, below that, and then have the color start peeking through. So that's what I did there. That's why it turned red all of a sudden, and then it went, just kind of came back to this. So playing around with that, it's a great way to kind of really focus on the details. I knew I wanted to eventually have the inside of its mouth glowing, like it's either just got through breathing fire or is about to breathe fire. So that's why you kind of see a little bit of a highlight there on the mouth at the moment. This is all very much the rough painting, just trying to get roughed in some of the colors and the look and the feel of it so I can get an idea. Then I changed the background color so that I could, I know I wanted to have kind of this smoky, fiery kind of look to it. So that's what I went with here to kind of give that maroonish mauve kind of color, and plus it gives me a better idea for the reds and everything else. So anyway, just thought I would explain that real quick and let you know kind of what's going on in my thought process here. Okay, so this is where I start to really try to pull things together. Knowing that I needed to spend some time on the background and lighting and that kind of stuff, because I have most of the core stuff done in. So what I've done here is I've actually started pulling all the layers together and then going in to change some of the colors, like the tongue, for example. I wanted to give it more of that reddish color. I wanted to start bringing out the highlights for where that fire is going to be building in its throat to get ready to blast out, or it just had blasted or whatever. And then adding in some of the color for the horns and that kind of stuff as well. Excuse me. And so that's what I'm working on here is kind of adding some of the texture for the final parts and bits and pieces to that. That part in the mouth, by the way, while you watch me paint in the flap here for the ear flap or whatever it is, that part I did an overlay layer, and then I did another luminosity layer below that, and started doing it. Now the neck flap here, I realized it didn't look like it was connected properly, so I wanted to put a secondary one over it, so like it looked like it kind of came in. Somebody actually commented on this after I posted the finished piece to Facebook, that they really appreciated that I took the time to make it look like a real neck flap and stuff, and that made me feel so great because I spent a lot of time thinking about how to do that. So that's what I did there with that, and I wanted to have these embers flowing here. So what I did here was I took a spatter brush and I just put in specks and then started adding in other lights and darks and stuff, and I erased some of it back. Then I made another layer and started copying it and painting onto it, and then just took and smudged out some different stuff there. Now that's another layer right there of clipping mask that is set to overlay to try and tie everything together and really kind of pull all the colors together so I didn't have such a variation in it, and it gave me kind of a neat look. So then I flattened everything and started saying, okay, how can I really start punching up some of this? I need to get some of that light from the bottom kind of casting up on it and hitting some of those highlights. So that's what I started doing there. And then I realized, you know, I really need to do a secondary light. So, and I wanted that to be kind of a complementary. So you'll see that I go in after I punch up these shadows to start adding in a secondary light as well. And I wanted to add more texture to his horns, to the scales, and that kind of stuff. So I took a grunge brush and just went over it on multiply. And then here I'm using the luminosity brushes, luminance brushes, and brushing in embers. This brush does all of this by itself. So you can just kind of brush in the highlights, and the more pressure you give it, the more burned out that gets and the brighter. So it really does these embers quickly. And I found out it works really great for that secondary light. So that's what I started doing there, was adding that secondary light to it. So this part right here is really just kind of the final cleanup, highlights, shadows, tweaks, secondary light, and that kind of stuff, because I find the secondary light really makes it pop. And then just going in and adding some different stuff here. I thought about doing drool and all that kind of stuff too, but I thought, nah, I don't want to do that. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you've enjoyed going through the process with me. And again, leave me any questions below. I would love to answer them. And again, thanks for watching. Hey, have a fantastic day. Appreciate it.